Welcome to Falun in Sweden for the first stage of the season's World Cup finals. And the menu for the day: men's and women's sprint classic finals. And the men's sprint title still technically up for grabs, and we drop in with our live coverage on the men's second semi-final. Emil Jönsson winning the first. And away we go with the second. Paul Goldberg, bib 3, Nikita Kryukov, bib 9, Sergei Ustykov, bib 2, and then it's Theodor Pedersen in 5, Federico Pellegrino of Italy in 13, and Andrew Newell, who has already had a written disciplinary action about technique issued to him today. 11 at the back of the field, and away they go to what is a relatively straight climb away from the arena. Goes out to the highest part of the course, and then big right-hander, bringing them back round towards the top end of that course, and then the course kind of loops back on itself. The men skiing just that little bit extra on the internal loop that comes back around to take them towards the back straight. 1.4 kilometers distance, and out in front Sergei Ustykov in that bib 2, and making his way from the back very well, the American Andy Newell. And the problem, we think, for Newell was on the corner, couple of turns, just stayed in the freestyle technique a little too long, and it was picked up by the judges, but hasn't cost him anything in terms of today's action. A little bit overcast here in Falun, in this fantastic region, one of the most popular destinations now in Sweden. On a little tumble there, and finally going down by bib 13, Pellegrino. Americans in the Italian ski suits very similar these days, and all sorts of slipping and sliding here. Really tough day for the technicians to get this one right, and both the Russians, Kryukov and Ustykov, just having a little problem, and down goes number 3, Paul Goldberg. So Goldberg's race is done, Pellegrino's race is done, both men going down and out courtesy of a fall. And we've got 4 left in this second semi-final now. Russia at the moment leading it out, and that looks like Pedersen just positioning himself nicely for that double pole to this little climb before they kick back onto the straight into the stadium. Look at the power as they go up that hill. Fantastic response there from Ustykov. And this one is going to go all the way by the looks of it. Confirmation of Harvey and Bransdal as the lucky losers. So those are the times to beat for anyone that wants to get in outside of the top 2. And this is dramatic stuff from Pedersen. Pedersen then gunning it for the line with that tremendous double pole. But a huge effort from Ustykov to get back in touch along with Kryukov. It looks like Newell's going to be skied out of it into 4th. It is Pedersen that takes it. It's a photo between Pedersen and Ustykov, and Kryukov getting up level with them. What an unbelievable finish. Well, Pedersen positioned himself, went really powerfully, but then got that horrible feeling of those chasing, the 2 Russians, getting back in touch with him. And in the end, the finish line just couldn't come quickly enough for Pedersen. So waiting for confirmation on that photo finish. 2:56.31, so not as fast as the first heat. Jönsson winning that one in 2:55.29, which means Harvey of Canada should be going through. What a race. A little bit of a shame that we lost Pellegrino. Now then, going for the line, Pedersen just about hanging on to it, but my goodness me, they came back strongly, and a great lunge in the end from Kryukov. But well, on that replay, Ustykov looking like he's managed to claim that second place, which, considering the pace of the heat, is going to be all important. Kryukov, if he hasn't got the call on the photo, he's going to be out, because it looks like Bransdal and Harvey are going to progress as the lucky losers. And there's your confirmation: Jönsson, Pedersen, Halvorsen, Ustykov, Bransdal and Harvey. That's your lineup for the men's classic final. We'll take a break there. Welcome back to Falun And welcome back to live coverage of the women's final. The semi-finals won by Østberg and Caldwell in Heat 1 and Bjørgen and Nielsen in Heat 2. But it was Heat 2 that was the superior race. So Kikkan Randall, this year's sprint leader, coming through as a lucky loser, along with Krista Lähteenmäki, meaning that Denise Herrmann of Germany misses out, and misses out yet again on a chance of a win in a sprint World Cup. But the German has been marvellously consistent as always. So there's our lineup for this final. Good to see Marit Bjørgen still there and still consistent right across the board, always a competitor. Østberg is the athlete who really has set the pace today. She's come in with a couple of stunning times. Stina Nielsen doing well to make it through to this final. Bib 15 for the USA, Sophie Caldwell, who many believe to be more of an all-round athlete than her illustrious sprint counterpart in Kikkan Randall. And before we get to, oh, there is Kikkan straight up next, has the red bib on as the leader. Well, every sport needs its characters, and Kikkan certainly qualifies as that. And finally, Lähteenmäki, rather quiet by comparison to the woman standing next to her, Krista Lähteenmäki from Finland. So, two Norwegians, Østberg and Bjørgen, 1 and 2. Sweden with Stina Nielsen, USA, and Sophie Caldwell, bib 15. Lähteenmäki for Finland, and the other American, Kikkan Randall, in the red bib as the leader. And Kikkan not away that quickly. That was a blistering start from Østberg. We did wonder if she was going to keep a little in the tank for from the semi-final, because quarter-final and qualification she was some 3.5 seconds faster, hopping across to the track she wants in the #1 bib. Ingvild Flugstad Østberg then leads from Stina Nielsen, and Marit Bjørgen keeping her powder dry for the moment. In the quarter-finals, Østberg was 5.5 seconds faster than Bjørgen, who won her heat. Now, a lot of you out there will know that there's a lot of tactical battles behind that particular decision by Bjørgen. Try and keep a little bit in the tank, but it's certainly proof that Østberg has got gas in the tank. And, well, having arrived on the senior scene and having proved herself at the very highest level, just seems to go into every race now feeling like she is the guaranteed winner. And what a wonderful mindset to be in. And when the body is doing everything you want it to do, it's quite easy for the mind to follow. But the power of Bjørgen not far away. She overpowers Stina Nielsen on that climb. 1.2 kilometers, remember, for this women's final. And some very tricky snow out there. Tight turns. We've already seen a couple of fallers in the men's and the women's division. And it's a little bit Bambi on ice here. Bjørgen going too wide, and that's allowed Stina Nielsen to get back at her. Nielsen didn't ski that corner particularly well either, but Østberg has benefited from mistakes from the Norwegian and the Swede behind her. And now Østberg looking good for the win. How much does she have left in the tank after a couple of really superb races today? Certainly taking a breather there, doesn't mind that Bjørgen is coming back to her. And now into that double poling rhythm to this last climb. This is the last big drive, and look at the pace of Bjørgen. That is exceptional speed. Guns it to the top, gets that inside line, gets the line on Østberg, and that means that Østberg and Nielsen have the work to do when it comes to the sprint. They are going to have to switch tracks, and Bjørgen can try and run the show from here. Last right-hander to get round as they set up for the finish, and Bjørgen is away immediately. Østberg changes the track and starts to double pole, and she's struggling to get back to Bjørgen here. Bjørgen looks to have timed this absolutely perfectly, and the experience of the veteran now looking good, but back comes Østberg. Has Østberg got anything left of the line? And Bjørgen hangs on. Oh, that's a sensational win for Marit Bjørgen. And in 2:50.5 leaves her best performance of the day in terms of speed till last. And Østberg, who's gone sub 250 on a couple of occasions today, can't find it when it really mattered. There was that one moment when it looked as if Osterberg was going to get back at her, and then Bjørgen went again. That is a stunning performance from Marit Bjørgen, and the result of not just quality in terms of preparation and fitness, but quality in terms of the mental ability to process exactly what was going on in that race and make all the right decisions. Wonderful performance from her, well done. And a good result as well, let's not forget, for Stina Nilsson, who brings home a third place for Sweden, but once again Norway looking good, and Marit Bjørgen taking the generous applause of the Swedish crowd here in Falun. A knowledgeable crowd will always appreciate a great performance no matter what nation. But once again, the Vikings on the rampage, and that is a really good race. Osterberg looking a little disappointed, as you can imagine. Had performed really well all day, so was expected to take that one, but Marit Bjørgen getting everything just right and gave Ingrid Osterberg just too much to do on that closing straight. Nilsson in the end was skied out of it, so just had to be satisfied with claiming that third position. And Kieken Randall, the sprint leader, nowhere to be seen. Well done to Bjørgen though, good win for her. Welcome back to Falun in Sweden and this magnificent Lugnet Arena. Hosts so many different sports during the course of the year, but it's hosted an absolutely corking women's classic sprint. Bjørgen hanging on from Osterberg. She set it up just right. She made the youngster move, and then she used that little bit of breathing space to get away from her. And Osterberg, who just left it before that final little pop of a climb into the stadium, Osterberg just left it, coasted, tried to suck as much air in as possible. That allowed Bjørgen to get back in touch, and then it was Bjørgen's sprint power that took her through to the line. Well, it's a great podium. You can never tell at the start of the day. There's been a really cosmopolitan feel to all of the sprint classics this season. And this is no different. Another group of names coming from a very, very talented pool of athletes, all of whom are more than capable of claiming the wins. Kowalczyk calling an end to her season after the gold in the games.
Okay.
But no win for Fowler today.
Bjørgen, the winner today, and with your win you move into third place. You bump your teammate in the sprint overall standings. Was that in your mind coming down the finish?
No, the most important for me was to take some second on Therese and thinking about the overall cup. So that I beat Ingvild in the last. Of course, I was 3 points behind in front of her. So I think she really wanted that place, but. I have to try, and yeah, it was great.
She's young.
Yeah, she's young. It's to us who's old, so it's good to winning. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And Kieken, your third consecutive overall sprint title. Only two other women have done it, one standing beside you and Bente Skari before that. So nice way to wrap up your season.
Yeah, it feels good to have put together 3 solid sprint seasons. I mean, it takes a lot, staying healthy and everything, so it's good to be finishing the season strong, and fun to have 2 Americans and 2 Norwegians in the final today. I hope that's the future.
All right, well, congratulations on the rest of the finals, which you're now leading, and yeah, congrats on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, well done to Marit Bjørgen, but very well done to Kieken Randall. And it rather puts it in context, doesn't it? Kieken will be delighted that she is now referred to in the same breath as the likes of Marit Bjørgen and Bente Skari as 3-time winners of the Sprint World Cup title. Men's final about to go. The semi-final. Kalle Halvorsen qualifying with a win. And Theodor Pedersen in his race, just ahead of Ustykov of Russia. And then after that, it was about fastest losers. Emil Jørgensen getting through in Heat 1. To leave what is essentially an excellent lineup for the final. There were a few things that could have happened at the start of today. Hatterstad leading on 362 for Norway. Well, Hatterstad not managing to make it through to the final stages. So consequently, Bransdal with those 50 points on offer and 41 points down on Hatterstad could have a very, very big day indeed. So just about time to meet the lineup before Emil Jørgensen. Just inside him, Theodor Pedersen. Thought he controlled his second heat very well indeed, but at a slightly slower pace, whereas Kalle Halvorsen was on fire along with Jørgensen in heat one. There is Halvorsen, been going well all day today, set a couple of really good times, but a word of warning on that front. Östberg overpowered by Bjørgen. Maybe Östberg just didn't quite have enough in the tank from some of the earlier efforts. So 3 Swedes going into this final, and then Ustjugov, the sole representative for Russia. Kryukov missing out in that photo finish. He goes bib 2. Erik Bransdal will go bib 7. Alex Harvey bib 10. One of the lucky losers through for Canada. He'll be delighted with that. Finally, there is Bransdal, currently lying in second position on the sprint standings. So still in the balance, and the start will be looking at this race very intently indeed. So that's your finals lineup. Men's Sprint Classic final about to get underway here in Falun in Sweden. 1.4 kilometre loop. Emil Jørgensen in 4 for Sweden, and a false start from the man. He's seen the funny side of it, and so's the crowd. 3 Swedes go in this one, so home crowd with a really good chance to be cheering home somebody to the win. And he's getting some catcalls from the audience now. Theodor Pedersen, bib 5 for Sweden. Kalle Halvorsen, the form man for today, goes bib 1. There he is nearest the camera. Then on from him, Russia and Sergei Ustjugov. Bib 2, Erik Bransdal is in the outside lane, bib 7, and just inside him, bib 10, Alex Harvey of Canada, and away we go. Slightly strange start there from Pedersen, almost a stumble, and then he absolutely found it. And just like the semi-final, heat 2, Pedersen drives himself to the front of the pack, closely followed by Jørgensen. You're going to have to be a little bit careful here. Bransdal doing his usual, getting wide, staying out of trouble, and just waiting to see how this race develops. Ustjugov with a nice move to settle in behind, and that forces Jørgensen out of the tracks that he was occupying to get himself back into position. So Pedersen from Jørgensen, from Ustjugov, and Bransdal ploughing a lone furrow up the outside. That's an interesting decision from the Norwegian. Big long climb away from the start, and they throw the right-hander back down into the back of the course, and then it's a long right-hander, and look at this pace. That's an unbelievable little kick from Jørgensen. So Emil Jørgensen gets himself, well, what's that, 20-30 meters lead there. So he's bought himself a little bit of breathing space, quite literally if he needs it, before that final climb. But he's obviously feeling good, and this is some serious pace coming down back in to that climb, out to the back part of the loop, and already Jørgensen has that taken back out of him. Maybe just a little concerned about his speed on the downhill sections, so built himself that lead with that tiny break. That was impressive stuff. Jørgensen leads, back in comes Bransdal, still trying to control what's going on in the race, and that's very cagey. It's all changed out there as the group comes back together. Jørgensen not able to break them with his first attempt, and now it's about jostling for position to set yourself up for the finish. Bransdal finds himself out in the lead. They're going to want to cover that, but it does give him that chance just to dip his head down before this final little pot climb. And as he double poles, Pedersen gets alongside him. Jönsson still in it. Ustiakov battling for position as Halvorsen drops back through the field. We've not seen too much from the speed man today. Halvorsen has been the power unit, the man who's delivered the fast finishes, but he's going to struggle to get himself lined up if he's not careful, and nearly stumbles. And coming into the finish, it's Theodor Pedersen that sets it up. Emil Jönsson in second position. Brandsdal has been skied out of the points that he needs. It's going to be Sweden 1, 2, 3 by the looks of it. It's going to be Pedersen that takes the race just ahead of Jönsson. Oh, Jönsson dives for the line. We'll have to see if that is a photo. Yes, it is. Jönsson Pedersen involved in a photo. Halvorsen gets himself across the line in third place. So it does look like 1, 2, 3 Sweden. But which of the Swedes will claim the one? At the moment, it's reading Jönsson, but it's definitely a photo finish, and Theodor Pedersen will be kicking himself. He had that race in the bag, and then a bizarre little stumble. Almost not aware that he had company. Now watch this from Jönsson. Driving hard. And, well, that is as close as it's going to get. Both men lunging with the ski boot. Fantastic athleticism at the end of a brutal race. Jönsson injecting the pace, and, well, I think that's Pedersen confirmed. It was initially reading Jönsson, but it looks to have come up as Pedersen 2:55.97, and there's the official result. Had to dive for the line in the end after a spirited effort from Jönsson. My goodness me, that was close. Kalle Halvorsen, who's been fast all day, has to settle for third position, and then photo finishes between Harvey, Ustiakov and Brandsdal. And I just wonder whether Brandsdal's heart went out of it when he realised that he couldn't claim the 50 points that he so desperately needed in terms of the sprint standings. Maybe just couldn't quite find it in those closing metres. Well, two great training partners going side by side across the line. But it's Pedersen by, well, what are we going to call that? A toenail? A couple of really close finishes, and it all adds to the sprint drama, doesn't it? Brilliant classic racing here today in Falun, and certainly worth another look. Oh, just that slightly superior reach as he drives right through with the right leg, both men going on the right, and it's Pedersen that gets it for Sweden. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I know the crowd in Falun certainly enjoyed the 1, 2, 3 for Sweden. And another fantastic finish to the cross-country season in prospect. Still got day 2 and 3 to come with David Goldstrom. Fast and furious, as always, out on the classic tracks. As the big names just enjoy themselves with a little warm down in front of this delighted crowd. Well, Kalle Halvorsen, the big man, just couldn't get the engine working there, missed out by just over a second, having raced to some very fast times today. Emil Jönsson using all his wiles. He's a clever racer, isn't he? And he did try a couple of little tricks in that race. That sprint coming out of the first climb was exceptional. And it's a blur, isn't it? It's a blur when they hit that kind of stride pattern. Going up an incline like that, to suddenly find that kind of pace is just quite frightening. There it is, there's the fast twitch fibres kicking in, and that's why it's called a sprint, because that's exactly what he did. But on the downhill, had it all taken back out of him. But it was all the tactic, it was all part of the setup for this final drive, and then Pedersen controlled that finish run in until Jönsson made him stretch for it. You want it, you stretch for it. Pedersen responded in the nick of time. Fraction of a second later, and Jönsson would have got his toe across the line first. Cracking race. So drama and enjoyment and excitement in both the men's and women's races. That's why the sprints, the classic sprints and the freestyle are in because they deliver racing like this during the course of the day. But as it probably should be to close the season out for the Sprint Classics here in Falun. It's a Swedish 1-2-3 on home snow, and just waiting around to see if we can grab a word with Theodor Pedersen. If we don't have an interview, we'll be off very shortly indeed to our next action here on Eurosport 2. But if Theodor is in a talking mood, we'll grab him. But no, looks like we're not going to get a chat with Theodor Pedersen then from Jönsson from Halvorsen. That concludes our racing from Falun.